We made a pledge, we didn't stick to it, and for that I am sorry.
This is better know a Lib Dem.
I am sorry.
Number 5.
Let's invest billions in green renewable energy.
Ever since the Lib Dems were formed in the late 80s, they've been against nuclear power, largely due to their belief that nuclear power plants are unsafe and incompatible with green politics, and on the evidence to date, they'd be absolutely correct. In fact, their anti-nuclear stance, which was spelt out in some detail in their 2010 manifesto, helped them to develop an image as the most environmentally aware of the main parties, as they opposed a new generation of nuclear plants and pledged instead to invest in
green renewable energy.
I think you can guess what's coming.
We made a pledge, we didn't stick to it, and for that I am sorry.
Yep, like the rest of their principles, their commitment against nuclear power stations magically disappeared when the Lib Dems entered government, with Chris Huhne, a man who managed to turn one speeding ticket into 2 jail sentences, proudly unveiling plans for a new nuclear power plant shortly after the election, and pledging not to vote against proposals to build new plants in exchange for a chance to reshape politics. Well, the Lib Dems have certainly done that, and this dramatic U-turn led to accusations that the Lib Dems have zero credibility, were untrustworthy, and were once again breaking their promises. Now, while this itself would be enough to classify
And let's invest billions in green renewable energy
as a
Promise broken.
if we fast forward a few years to the point that the nuclear power plant deal is officially announced, we discover with hindsight not just how big of a U-turn this issue really was, but also what a clusterfuck the Lib Dems made for the deal itself. After Chris landed himself in the can, he was replaced by the up-and-coming Ed Davey as the Secretary of State for Energy. Big Ed here has himself been completely against nuclear power, having released a strongly worded press statement back in 2006 claiming that nuclear power is unaffordable, unnecessary, and only possible with the support of vast taxpayer subsidies. But when in a position of power, Edward Davey went and pulled a Clegg, instead playing a key role in securing the contract for a new nuclear power plant despite the statement he released in 2006, with the government signing up to a 35-year fixed-price deal with the French-run state energy company EDF. The fixed price, which post-2010 Ed described as being a great deal for the British consumer, is set at £92.50 per megawatt per hour, meaning British families will be paying almost double its actual value, with any difference between the market rate for electricity from this nuclear plant and the £92.50 Ed agreed to being paid by the British taxpayer, who, as a result of Ed's top-draw negotiation skills, will now have to fork out for both the electricity and the taxes required to pay for this subsidy. Now, just quickly doing the sums on that, which evidently is something Ed forgot to do, the plant itself, which once again is something the Liberal Democrats campaigned against, will cost a whopping $16 billion to build, while the taxpayers are going to have to fork out $33 billion in subsidies to meet the price that old Ed negotiated.
Excellent.
With this $33 billion mainly going to EDF, who are owned by the French state. Yep, that's right. The French, with the help of old Ed, have fleeced us, at a time when they're cutting back their own use of nuclear power by a third.
What are you doing in England? Mind your own business!
Still, in an effort to convince the public that this was not a
Promise broken.
Ed wheeled out some top hits, claiming once again that this was an excellent deal for the consumer, despite 2006 Ed Davey claiming the opposite, and the facts proving this not to be the case. New Ed also claimed that, for the first time, a nuclear station in this country will not have been built with money from the British taxpayer. This despite 2006 Ed claiming the opposite. And post-2010 Ed also claimed that this deal will increase energy security and resilience from a safe, reliable, homegrown source of electricity. This despite 2006 Ed saying that nuclear power poses huge environmental and safety risks, and the evidence to date pretty much supporting that. But despite being contradicted by himself, Ed was cunning enough to employ the political ostrich defence, removing all record of him ever being anti-nuclear from his website, which I'm sure he's hoping will be enough to convince everyone that the Liberal Democrats pledged to
invest billions in green renewable energy.
And his own views on, well, just about everything before he got a pay bump, are not further examples of a Lib Dem
Promise broken.